And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. This is going to be a quick live here. I'm in the process of doing some things right now, dropping my car off, but just wanted to, share with you guys real quick. In the news, you are hearing that Iran broke whatever agreement that them, along with the Israelis, had come to agree in terms of a ceasefire. And I wanted to share with you, don't get caught up in the propaganda. Don't get caught up in the propaganda. Think about this. Someone slaps you unprovoked, in whether, even if they felt like they were provoked, they hit you, punch you in the face. And then when you get ready to respond, someone jumps in the middle of it to supposedly stop the escalation. But the one that's jumping in the middle of it got their shot in it too. But then hold you up, tell you not to hit back, and want you to agree with not responding. Growing up, we used to have this thing called baddest man hit my hand. And you had the instigator in the middle, and the two people that, have issues with each other, have beefs. So the instigator would sit in the middle, right? And they say, baddest man hit my hand. So whoever hits the hand first of the instigator, then the instigator will hit the other person that's opposite rather. And then they'll say, you're going to let that person hit you, when actually the person didn't even touch them. That's what we see here. But it's the instigator along with the middleman that's supposed to be in the middle as well. Both of those threw shots to the other side. Now, the person that got hit not once, but twice has to enter into an agreement not to respond. Make it make sense. There's so many layers to what's going on over there. So many layers to it. But I want to make it clear to you, family, this is the playbook that has been going on. Israel, or the Israelis, bombed Iran to trigger a response, and the president of the United States dropped bombs in defense of the Israelis, who say that Iran is at a place or weeks away from having a nuclear weapon, in which they've been making that claim since 9/11. It's on record. Since 9/11. So let me share with you real quick, family. You see the topic here? We can break any agreement. Let me prove to you, just from their own doctrine, that they can break any agreement. When I say they, we're going to call them the 1948ers. The 1948ers can break any agreement according to their Talmud. So let's prove it real quick, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Malcolm X said, he made a famous quote here. If you aren't careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. Malcolm X was onto something. Now, some of these other quotes in a couple of videos here on his take, but we're not going to do that right now because I got a lot to do today. We'll probably do it this weekend. So again, if you aren't careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. So let's start with this thought here. That Israel we see are actually called Israeli. I know a lot of people are confused by it because there's a reason why they call themselves Israeli. Let's see what this word Israeli means. Citizens of the state of Israel. Then it goes on to say it distinguishes the citizens of the modern state from the ancient people. So what this is saying that is when you see the phrase Israeli, it's telling you that they are not indigenous to that landmass, which is called Israel. That's what it means. It's right in your face. This is why they refer to themselves as Israelis. Even if they are born in the country or the territory, they are not aboriginal to the territory. They're not indigenous to the territory. So make sure you understand we have plenty of breadcrumbs because that's going to lead me to this next source. A brief history of the terms for Jews, right? For the word Jew. This is coming from the Jewish Almanac on page 3, 1980, real quick. Strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite or a Hebrew. The first Hebrews may not have been Jews at all. So what this is telling you, they are making it clear in their own literature that do not refer to these modern Jews, or that's where you get that word Jew. It's not an ancient word. It is a 17th century creation, right? That has political agendas attached to it. So they're telling you, paraphrasing, not to refer to the contemporary or modern Jews as ancient Israelites. Do not mix the two together. All right. So let's go to a key point here. What does the Talmud say about the so-called non-Jews? What does it say? Sanhedrin 113a. This is what it says about those that they deem not to be part of their community. This you're going to see that they make it clear that they have every right to break any agreement that they enter into, as long as it's not someone from within their community. Look at what it says. We suppose the customs collector here to be a heathen publican, as it was taught, where a suit arises between an Israelite and a heathen. If you can justify the former according to the laws of Israel, justify him and say, this is our law. In other words, Talmud. So also, if you can justify him by the laws of the heathens, justify him and say to the other party, this is your law. But if this cannot be done, we use subterfuges to circumvent him. This is the view of Rabbi Ishmael. So what is this saying, family? Let's skip down here. It goes on to say, before I break this down real quick, it says here, but were there no infringement of the sanctification of the name, we could circumvent him. That's the key. We can circumvent him. Is then the robbery of a heathen permissible? So this is making it clear that they can circumvent any agreement that they enter into of those that they deem to be outside of their Jewish community. This is fact. And many of you guys that grew up in or live in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, the metropolitan, and some of the big cities, go to the courts. Because, if you want to really follow the trail of broken agreements, go to the court system. Look up real estate cases and see who's at the top of the list of broken agreements in real estate, rental property. And you'll see who is at the top of the list and have a history of breaking agreements. That's why when you put money down on an apartment, you're renting apartment and you have to put a down payment, a security deposit, you might as well pretty much, you guys know what I'm talking about if you're from the area, that you might as well write it off. That's money you're not going to get back. Broken agreements. So don't believe what you see on the news, because this is telling, again, going back to that analogy, someone slap you in the face, they sneak you, slap you in the face, and then expect you to follow their rules when they have a history of breaking the agreement. They have a history of slapping people, provoking certain things. And then when you go to respond, guess what? Enter into an agreement only to break that agreement. Look at the history of what's going on over in the territories of Israel today, ever since 1948. With that being said, family, we'll do another catch up on this, but we'll follow up on this maybe tonight or later on this week. But I just wanted to give you this as a source. They have, according to their Talmud, which they refer to as the oral Torah, written down, which is anti-Torah, that they can break any and every agreement, which falls up under the fourth beast that Daniel speaks of. The key to that fourth beast is manipulation, modifying and changing information, changing history, rewriting history. And we see all of the Abrahamic faiths, and as well as the institutions of men, have a history, as Joseph is highlighted, with the Greeks, who have a history of changing history of all the countries and territories that they've conquered. So with that being said, family, really appreciate you guys tuning in, and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Gotta try to get this momentum going to get 100,000 subscribers. But nevertheless, family, let's keep this momentum going. We starting to really pick up here. But nevertheless, family, with that being said, have a blessed remainder of the day, and we will connect later.
Somebody better call the doctor.